Hey, what's going on, guys? My name's Chopper. So today I'm going to be telling you guys about how Call of Duty saved my life. This is going to be quite a longer episode because I have a story to tell today. So guys, grab a drink, grab a snack, go to the bathroom, do whatever you got to do because just get ready to sit back, relax, and listen to this story I got to tell you. So 2 years ago, when I was a sophomore in high school, so I took a trip with my French class, and we obviously went to France. So in the first day, we went to Paris, and then a couple of days later we went to Normandy, and we visited Tours and all these really cool places. We visited war memorials. We went a multitude of different places. It was all around France. It was like a non-stop travel thing. We didn't just stay in Paris the whole time, but that's where our story is going to take place. What you guys got to know is that we traveled a whole lot. We stayed at a whole bunch of different hotels, and we went everywhere. I mean, we started in Paris, and we went everywhere. And then eventually, on the last day, we went back to Paris, and that was the last day of the entire trip. The trip lasted about a week and a half, and that's not really where the story begins. The story actually begins. This entire thing begins on the last day. So the last day of our trip was in Paris, France, and this is where the story is going to begin on the last day of the trip. So on that morning, we leave our hotel, and our tour guide has one more place to take us. Now, this last day was supposed to be a sort of free day. Every day we had in the tour, we had to visit some sort of historical monument or site, or just he had something planned for us that day because, it's a French trip, it's sponsored, and, we have an agenda. But this last day in Paris was a free day. We could do whatever we wanted. So our tour guide had one more place to take us before, we went about our last day in Paris doing whatever we want. He wanted to take us, we ended up being in this what you think of in America as a square, a shopping center. But first we had to visit some historical palaces and different things like that. But we walk about, I think it was about a mile and a half from our hotel to this area. And we get there, and then after our little tour and everything, we kind of say goodbye to our tour guide for a little bit because he's not gonna stay with us the entire day. And then the group decides to split off. Now, one group is going to a museum, and I'm not actually sure what the other group decided to do, but me and my friend Brennan decided to go to shop for wristwatches. We heard about this one really good shopping place called Lafayette. It was this certain area near the center of Paris, and we wanted to go there to shop for wristwatches. So that's what we decided to do. So we broke away from the group, and now that was probably our first mistake. And we didn't tell the other group that we were going on our own. Each group thought we were with the other group, I'm pretty sure. They all thought that we were with somebody else, and they didn't really question it. So after they split off, we decided to go on our own path too. We just said, when we're all done, we'll come right back here, and then because we know how to walk back from here. So what we do is we go and grab some lunch. We go and grab some subs. I get a ham and cheese and a pickle kind of thing, and then I think he got a salami or whatever. We eat our subs, and then we decided to hop on the metro because it was a good ways away. We weren't definitely going to walk to Lafayette. So we eat lunch and we grab our metro tickets and we hop on the metro. So this was the first metro ride of the day, and this becomes a big part of the story, is getting on the metro and that kind of thing, because you're going to see that a whole lot. So we got on our first metro ride, and our destination was Lafayette. Now, this is what happened. This is kind of what set it off right here. The first trip we went, the first journey on our metro, we kind of overshot it a little bit. We overshot our destination and ended up by the Louvre. I think you guys should know what this is. It's a museum in France, and it's got if you've seen pictures of it, it's like a glass sort of pyramid, and it's got a museum behind it. It's a very cool museum. We actually did end up visiting that too. We visited that a few days before this actually happened. So we come out of the metro station and we see the Louvre. We're okay, this isn't where we're supposed to be. I mean, we were here the other day. We're not even close to where we need to be. So I had the brilliant idea. I was like, hey man, let's just get back on the metro and redo what we just did. This isn't where we need to be. Let's just hop back on the metro and reverse what we just did. Just go back to the spot where we were, and we can try this again. So that's what we did, and something went wrong. Something went wrong on this metro ride, and we didn't end up where we started the first time. And this time we ended up in an unknown location to us. We never seen this place before, and we got a little bit confused. We're a little bit concerned. We're like, okay, I thought we just reversed what we just did, and we should be back where we were this morning, but we weren't. So we're a little bit confused, and we're trying to solve what's going on here. We're trying to figure out what just happened. So us being French 2 students, we didn't have the most knowledge of the language. We weren't the best at speaking French. We could speak a little bit. If you guys take a foreign language, if you're a second year student, you're not the most fluent, but I mean, you can get around. I could probably carry on a conversation, maybe not a super detailed one, but I could communicate at least somewhat with people in France. So us being only French 2 students, we decided to ask for directions. And we go back in the metro station, we asked a couple of people for directions, and either they were messing with us or they just couldn't understand us because they tried to say something to us, and we could catch what we caught what we were able to understand, but trying to piece it together was the tough part. And we were trying to ask, how do we get to Lafayette? And they were kind of like pointing it out on the map. And then they were speaking a little bit too fast for us to keep up. So we kind of just went off what they were pointing, what we kind of picked up from the bits and pieces that we could actually understand. So after we pick up, the information, we get our metro tickets and hop back on the metro and try to follow those directions that they gave us. Well, unfortunately, we missed by a long shot, and we didn't, of course, end up where we needed to be. Now, Lafayette, I actually have a map of Paris like right in front of me, and Lafayette is kind of like almost dead center. If not, it's like a little bit down from dead center, and we ended up probably like very right. Like if you look at a map of Paris, we ended up on like almost like the far right. It wasn't like edge. It wasn't like on the edge of Paris, but it was pretty far right. We weren't anywhere close to where we need to be. We weren't in walking distance or anything like that. It was just kind of hopeless from there. So we did miss our mark, and we decided we got out of the metro station. We're like, okay, what if we just walk there? The metro's not doing it for us. We're like, okay, it's going to be a long walk, but it'll be worth it when we get there. So let's just go ahead and walk. So we start walking, and eventually we, there's like checkpoints along the streets. Like there's like little stations that you can see, and it's kind of like if you ever been to like a zoo or like a amusement park or whatever, it'll have like a map of the place, have like an extra you are and say you are here. They kind of have a sort of thing like that. There was this map hanging up, and we're like, okay, we're not even close to where we need to go. We're going the complete wrong direction. So we end up turning all the way back and going back to the metro. Now, this is where things start to take a turn for the worse, because believe it or not, we didn't really know or realize that we were lost at this point. We knew that we didn't know exactly where we were going. We didn't know how to get there, but we in the back of our minds, we're kind of like, okay, well, if everything else fails, we can always just go right back. We always thought that we had like some sort of escape plan, or you could just back out of whatever we just did. But it didn't really quite hit us that we were actually lost until later. So we decided to go back on the metro and head back to the location where we were on the very first day we arrived in Paris, because we knew that place. We spent a few days there, and we did spend a lot of time touring there. We toured like the Notre Dame, the Eiffel Tower, the Louvre. There's another museum, I can't remember the name, but we went there too. It was a very artsy museum. It had it's built inside out. You can Google it you can Google it and it'll show you. I can't remember what the museum is called, but it's got like the pipes on the outside, but that's not really important. But the point is we got to know that place quite a bit. So we're like, all right, let's go back to the center of town, that place where we were on the first day. So we get back on there, and we actually make it there. We're like, okay, there's a hotel from day one. We're like, okay, this place is familiar. And so we decide to start walking around and try to somewhat get an idea of where we are and where we need to go. So what we end up doing is going and walking around basically what we did on the very first day. So we tour, we go by the Notre Dame and by the River Seine and everything. And there's this really, really good ice cream place called Bertillon, and it's honestly the best ice cream I've ever tasted. People always say oh, this is the best ice cream I've ever had. But no, legitimately, this was the best ice cream I had ever had in my entire life. And we decided to go there because we went there day one because my French teacher showed me it. And we decided to pick up some ice cream. Like I said, at this point, you're probably thinking, if you're lost, why would you spend your time trying to get ice cream? Why would you not try to find your way and save yourself? Well, the thing is, like I said, didn't really hit us that we were lost. We're like, you know what, you want to stop for some ice cream, man? On our way to get some watches. Maybe we'll find a shopping place on the way. We're like, okay. And before we went to go get some ice cream, we actually stopped by a market, kind of just like a regular convenience or grocery store. We actually get some Pepsi because he gets a Pepsi because he was tired of the French drinks, because honestly we were there for about a week and a half, and you think you want to eat all the cultured food and drink all the cultured drinks that they have there, but honestly he got a little bit tired of it. He decided just to cop a regular old American Pepsi. So he gets his drink, and we're like, dude, let's go get some ice cream, because we knew where that ice cream place is, because if something's important to you, you're gonna remember it. We remembered where that was, so we begin our walk there. So we pass by the Notre Dame, and then we end up at this ice cream place. I get my ice cream. I get a raspberry and lime, and he gets something else, something gross like pistachio or whatever. He gets something disgusting. But anyway, we get our ice cream. We're just chilling on the bridge for a little while, and this is, like I said, we didn't know we were lost until we finished our ice cream. And after we were all done, we were kind of just sitting there on the bridge, taking in the environment, just sitting over the River Seine, just taking it all in. And that's when it kind of hit us. When we were just sitting there, we kind of realized that we were lost. We had no destination. We didn't know where we were. We didn't know where to go. So at this point, it kind of did both hit us at the same time. We kind of realized the danger of the situation. Now, we know where we are, but we don't know where we need to be. We're familiar with the place we are currently in, so that was kind of like our safe spot. We felt comfortable and safe there, but that wasn't where we needed to be. That wasn't where the rest of the group was, and that wasn't where our hotel was. So we said, all right, we're not even close where we need to be, and we're out of metro tickets. We're going to get anywhere fast, we're going to need to buy more. So we find the nearest metro station, and we spend our bands on metro tickets. Like, we literally spent so much because just because we wanted to have enough and be safe. We didn't have to want to keep buying because that kind of got a little bit inconvenient. So we spent a lot of money on metro tickets, and we had a ton to spare. We had a ton to use, and we had just a whole bunch of metro tickets at our disposal. So we hop on and take a random guess, because at this point, like I said, we don't know where to go. We don't know exactly where we were located in that morning. And, like, obviously you're like, why don't you just look a map and then see where you were that morning? Well, the thing is, we didn't know where we were that morning. We were going to base it off of, like, landmarks or sites that we remember from earlier that day. So that's what we decided to do. This is where the craziness of the metro begins. Like, we had a few metro rides before that day, but this is where it really got out of hand. So we get on the metro, and we take back and forth rides for about an hour and 30 minutes. Now, we had some interesting interactions in the metro. One of these stations we actually went to, it was a very nice station actually, and as I'm going through a turnstile, this lady hops on my back and goes through with me. She didn't want to pay for her ticket or whatever. She didn't want to put in her ticket, so she hops on my back and goes through the thing with me, and I immediately reach for my passport and my wallet and everything like that, because I thought I just got pickpocketed. And it's honestly kind of scary if somebody who doesn't really speak your language just jumps on your back as you go through a turnstile. And we had weird interactions like that. Another one we had, this one had been about 30 minutes into our huge metro spree, and we were sitting in our chairs. This is about a 10 or 15 minute metro ride, and we're sitting in our chairs. Brennan's sleeping, and I'm just sitting there observing the scenes and things like that. I'm just kind of sitting there thoughtless. And this old guy comes up to us and tells us to stand up because we're being disrespectful, we're being rude. And we were already in a salty mood, but that just made us even more salty and angry, and we were just not having it. We were not in a good mood. And we just had weird sort of interactions like that. And then right after our sort of metro spree, we end up in the outskirts of Paris. This is where the metro started to look different. There was the regular metro. It was a skinnier one. That was the transit, the city one. And then there was another one, but this one was a bigger one, and it had better seats and better cushions, and it looked just really, really different. And I was like, okay, what is this metro? What does this one go to? And we decided against it just because we didn't know what it was, but I'm really glad we didn't, because those metros would actually take you to residential places in Paris, actual houses, people's houses and apartments, and not in town. So we're lucky we did not get on those. We stayed on these city ones. And eventually, we take it one more time, and we come out at the station, and we're by a college and by the residential places. So at this point, we're getting ready to just throw in the towel. We come out of the metro station, and we find a bench. And at this point, it's about 6 o'clock in the evening, and we just find the bench, we sit on it, and we sit in silence for 20 minutes. Neither of us said a word. We were both extremely salty from the guy who yelled at us. We were salty at being lost. We didn't know where we were. We were just trying to throw in the towel. We had no idea what we were going to do. We just had no plans. We were just trying to think of something, or I don't know. We were just very hopeless at this point. We sat on that bench for a solid 20 minutes just in silence. And I was just trying to think of a plan. I was trying to think of anything that could potentially save us, or at least help us in the very least. So eventually, after that 20 minutes, I say, hey man, I got an idea. Since we can't contact the group because our phones don't work, let's find a place that has free Wi-Fi and use our phones to contact them there. Because some people's phones did work, but we did not link our phones in the towers of France to actually have service on our phones. So we decided to hop back on the metro and find a McDonald's, because they still have McDonald's in France, in case you guys were wondering. And you know how McDonald's always has free Wi-Fi. So that was my brilliant idea. I said, hey, let's go find McDonald's because they're going to have free Wi-Fi. And with that plan, our mood's lighten a little bit. He becomes a little bit more talkative, and we get back on the metro, and we get out where the Notre Dame was, where we had our ice cream and the place that we were familiar with. So we get out right there, and we decide it was not exactly where we were familiar with, but we decided to do our own a little bit of exploring, try to find a McDonald's. We actually end up finding one. So we find this McDonald's, we see the sign, so we run to it. We're so excited. We're like, okay, dude, we're getting out of this. We're going to contact the group, and we're going to tell them where we are. We're going to get back to the hotel, and everything's going to be fine. We're up to this McDonald's, and just our luck, it's under construction. There's nothing there. There's just the sign. There's no Wi-Fi. There's nothing on the inside of the building, and that really put me in a bad mood. That just all our hopes just went down the drain right there. But since we were already up, we decided to, keep going. We couldn't So Brennan came up with another plan. He said, let's go by the Notre Dame Cathedral and wait for someone to get us. But I thought that was a bad idea. I told him, no, man, no one's going to come get us. If we wait there, we're just going to waste our time. It's going to become nighttime. The nighttime is starting to set in already. So it's going to get too dark for us to even travel if nobody comes to get us. So I said, that's too risky. Let's not do it. So we get on the metro with no more tickets. See, by this point, we ran out of tickets, so we had to hop over the turnstile so nobody's looking. Probably the sketchiest thing, one of the sketchiest things I've ever done. We had to hop over the turnstile when nobody's looking. We had to get on that free metro ride. And I was shaking in my Nikes that we wouldn't get caught. That was probably the scariest moment of the night. And we came out of that metro ride in a somewhat familiar place. We knew that we were in close proximity to the hotel where we needed to be. Like this time, we were actually getting close. We had a ray of hope. It shined in on us, and we knew that we were in a close proximity. Maybe not exactly the location, but we knew generally where our hotel was. So we decided to look around this area and see what we could find. So eventually we get to a point where we start recognizing a lot of things from earlier that morning, because how I said, we went to the market. We walked up there from our hotel, so I took in like the scenery and the buildings and that kind of thing, and I was kind of observing that early morning, and I'm glad I did, because we had to remember what monuments and just things that we saw earlier that day to backtrack. So that's what we did. We backtracked the entire thing. We'd have to look at like the streets and be like, oh, we did go down the street or we didn't, and then like, oh, we saw this building to the left, so this needs to be to our right. And basically we had to backtrack like that. Now there was points where the sidewalk would like fork and would go off into two sections. We had to pick the left or the right, and most of the time we picked the wrong one. So if we picked the wrong one, we'd be like, okay, this is not where we were. We would double back and then pick the other one. We did that for a good half an hour, and then at this point it was starting to get pretty dark. So like, okay, dude, this is like now or never. And so I see a black building off in the distance. I'm like, hey, I've seen that black building before. Like I saw that when we were coming out this morning to go to the market, and I saw that black building is right by the Eiffel Tower, or you can see it it's pretty close to the Eiffel Tower. But I was like, okay, we saw this black building earlier. I was like, okay, this hotel is on that street. We need to make our way to that street. We make our way to the street where that black building is, but it's a very long road. You can see it goes for a pretty long time, and you can see pretty far down. But so we didn't know which side or where our hotel would be on. So I was like, you want to just tread this street? And so by the grace of God, I had a picture on my phone. Something told me to take it earlier or the night before, and it's not even that cool of a picture now that I look at it, but it is a view of somebody's room, like outside their window on like a corner of a bar. It's not even that cool, like I said, but I looked at that picture and I saw that building in that picture, and I said, this is where our hotel is. We need to get on in this street. So we lined ourselves up on the right street, walked down the road, and lo and behold, our hotel was right there waiting for us. It was called the Andre Latin Hotel. We couldn't remember the name of the hotel, but that's what it is now. And we couldn't remember the name, so we couldn't tell anybody what the hotel was. So me and Brennan tell the lobby man who we are, and he immediately makes a phone call. And I think he called our French teacher. So we sit on the chairs in the lobby, and it's kind of like that bench thing from earlier. We just sat there in silence. I mean, we had a rough day. We were kind of in shock a little bit. We didn't really have much to say to each other. I mean, like, we're really grateful that we had each other, but we just didn't really feel like talking at the moment. So we just sat there in silence for probably a good 10 minutes. Then our French teacher walks in, and we had to explain everything to him. You know, we explained that we were really sorry that we broke from the group and all that kind of stuff. We just said, like, you know, we're fine. Just let the group know we're fine, but it was our fault. It's our mistake, and we're sorry for it. And, you know, he forgave us. So we told him basically what happened. We didn't really go into detail, but we realized as we were talking, I just realized, like, man, I'm really hungry. And he told us that the whole group went to dinner. The whole group was at dinner. That's where we were supposed to go in the first place, but of course we missed it since we were lost. And they had like a few people stay back, him being one of them. And so we missed dinner, but we're hungry because the last thing we had to eat was those subs, like right before we got on that first metro ride. So we go to a French McDonald's. Now this is a little bit different from American McDonald's. Like, for instance, they have like 9 nuggets instead of 10 and kind of cool stuff like that. But we got some food that we wouldn't normally get here in America. And we take it back to the hotel and explain to them what had happened. They were honestly really close to calling home and reporting missing students, and that would have been a whole fiasco. So I told you Call of Duty saved my life. Now this is what I was thinking, that during that backtracking like sequence during that, I think that playing Call of Duty and just video games in general helped me to like visualize things differently. Like, I can see things from different perspectives. That really helped me when I had to see a certain like building from a different perspective, like backwards or on the left side. And I think that like video games and Call of Duty honestly helped me develop those skills, which helped us backtrack. If it wasn't for that backtracking thing, we would have never made it back. So that was my story of getting lost in France. Now I'm actually going back to France in March, and we're going to Paris and we're going to Rome. and I'm going to be vlogging it and taking you guys along with me, so I'm really excited. So let me know if you guys had any sort of getting lost experiences. If you did, leave it in the comment section down below. Let me know if you're excited for this Paris and Italy vlog, as I know I am, and I had a really fun time telling this story too. If you guys did enjoy listening to this story, if you found this entertaining, make sure you do leave a like, because I really spent a long time in this video and I really like telling this story. So let me know if you guys had any sort of experiences like this, and let me know what video games helped you with in real life, because that's what kind of this is about. So if you guys did enjoy this, make sure you do leave a like and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next video.